All right. Hello. Hello, you denizens of a crumbling empire. We will be here for the next 2 weeks, at the end of which we will either have won an Ebby or gotten a series of devastating strikes. Maybe both. Maybe both. We will see. So we're going to start off easy. We're going to take an easy pitch here. Now, we had a choice between two Boeing stories, the poop plane or the PSA Boeing story. How do you avoid getting on a Boeing? I felt like the PSA should be on the bigger platform. So we are going to get into how...
We'll tell the shit story on our channel. We'll tell the important one on this one. We'll tell the
shit story, which actually is really going to lower the chances of our winning that Webby, because I think that's the story that would have done it. But, hey, you know, well, maybe we'll win one for due dissidence with the poop plane. They're going all Carnival cruises there at Boeing. They're flooding the planes with shit now. But given that, how do you avoid flying on a Boeing 737 MAX? Now, you know, I just flew out here, and Jimmy was nice enough, by my request, to make sure I would be on an Airbus. So this is something I myself am doing. Although I'll tell you, coming out here, when we do the Boeing story tomorrow, I don't know, Friday was a very bad day. You had the shit plane. Another Boeing had to be turned back for engine trouble. And yet another one, 7 passengers were injured because of wind shear. Now, the wind shear part, I gotta say, man, the flight from New York to here, and I was on an Airbus, that was the most turbulent flight I've ever been on. Like where the stewardesses are like getting knocked back and forth in the aisle. And because the God that I know is a God who would think it was really funny for the guy who keeps doing Boeing stories to crash in an Airbus, I was shitting myself. I was like, this is God, man. This is God. This is exactly the kind of thing that cracks God up. But I'm here. Unless certain theories about alternate realities are true, and I actually did crash, and this is the quantum parallel universe that I wound up in. But either way, I think I'm here. So how do you avoid flying on a Boeing? If you're leery of flying on a Boeing plane, you're not alone. Search for Boeing on TikTok or Reddit or X, formerly Twitter, and you'll find thousands of people with similar fears, you think? Those fears stem from the spate of media reports of incidents on Boeing planes since the beginning of the year, most infamously the one on January 5th, when Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 lost a door after takeoff. The plane was a Boeing 737 MAX 9. I'm more worried about the 2 MAXes that crashed than the one that lost the door. But there's a lot of reason to worry. It wasn't the first time a Boeing 737 MAX made the news for all the wrong reasons. In October 2018, a Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft crashed in Indonesia minutes after takeoff, killing 189. 5 months later, another Boeing 737 MAX 8 crashed in Ethiopia, killing 157. News of the Alaska Airlines incident raised the specter of these previous crashes, as well as a new round of anxiety about flying on Boeing planes. That anxiety has only increased in the months since, as problem after problem has continued to occur with the company's aircraft. The constant media focus on Boeing's failures is understandably making some frequent flyers apprehensive of stepping onto a Boeing 737 MAX. If you're one of them, there are several tricks and tools you can use to avoid flying on one, though there is also one significant limitation to these methods. There are various ways you can avoid flying on a Boeing 737 MAX, but each takes a little work. The first is to know your airline, or rather know which airlines have Boeing 737 MAXes in their fleets. Flight Travel Engine Alternative Airlines has put together a list of global carriers that aren't currently deploying 737 MAX planes. In the U.S., this list is pretty much limited to the smaller airlines, including Avalo, Frontier, Hawaiian, JetBlue, Spirit, and Sun Country. Allegiant Air was on the list, but will begin receiving 737 MAXes this year. Alternative Airlines also notes that Delta does not yet fly the 737 MAX, although it's got the aircraft on order for 2025. You got that? So you're good on Delta for the rest of the year. but then pick another airline. However, larger U.S. airlines that have MAXs in their fleets don't use these planes exclusively. That's how I got on an Airbus, because actually the airline I was on has them. So it's still possible to fly on most airlines without being guaranteed you'll be put on a MAX. That's why the second step to avoid flying on a MAX is to get familiar with reading the details of search results on popular travel websites. When you enter your search on Google Flights and browse through the results, you can see if the flight you're considering is using which aircraft. In the search result, click on the drop-down arrow next to any leg of your trip, and below the arrival time, you'll see the make and model of the plane. If it's a plane you don't want to fly on, simply look for an alternative flight using an aircraft that is acceptable to you. Still, this method relies on you manually checking the type of plane. That's why the third option might be best. Use a flight...
Stay home. Oh, no.
Well, that's what Keaton does.
That's what I do. Works every time. Works every time. Perfect record. I've never ended up on a 737 MAX yet.
Keaton, well, you know, I used to laugh at Keaton for never leaving his home. He went to Connecticut, man. The guy comes back with a face swelled up like a beach ball.
Yeah, I look like the inbred guy in Midsommar, the movie. Yeah, from a horsefly bite.
It was like the cast of Deliverance. Yeah, just Connecticut, just like the next state over. So
no, it's a hot summer day. I was walking my dog back in the house, and yeah, out of the sky, this murderer horsefly comes down, gets me right in the lip. I had to go to urgent care. I had to get what's the steroid? Prednisone. Yeah, I had to get that.
So Keaton maybe shouldn't fly. He said he was going to come out here, and I was like, he's not going to fucking come out here.
I thought my family had points on credit card miles because they ran a small jewelry business, and they racked up a lot of miles using the business card for everything, but they used them all, and it would have cost like $1,500 to fly the family out there. So I figured, the hell with it.
It's always a reason, man. It's always a reason, yeah. Dude. The guy lives upstate, and every time he says he's going to come down to the city, never. It's always something, man. No. I'm going to be down in the city
2 weeks, canvassing for Jose Vega.
We'll see. We'll see.
I'll be there.
I'll believe it when I see it. So the third option might be best. Use a flight search engine that allows you to exclude flights on specific type of aircraft from appearing in your search results. There are a few that do this. On Kayak's result page, simply scroll down and click the model header. That is probably what I'm personally going to do in the future, because the other ways sound too complicated. Next, just choose to exclude any flights from the search results that include a plane you don't want to fly on. There's another flight search engine that makes it even easier to exclude MAXs from your search results. Search on Alternative Airlines Boeing Alternatives page, and the results you see will automatically exclude flights on Boeing 737 MAX planes. If you use Alternative Airlines search tool from another page on the site, MAXs will be included in the result, but you can manually choose to hide those flights or the flights on other types of planes. Alternative Airlines head of customer acquisition and SEO, Mark Agate, tells me that, quote, since the beginning of the year, we've seen an increase of 118% in users, recording just over 80,000 in March, who are specifically looking for non-Boeing flights. But even using those is no guarantee that your flying is MAX-free. That's because airlines can and frequently do swap out planes on the day they're scheduled to depart due to scheduling or maintenance issues. What this means is even if you've made sure to book your flight on, say, an Airbus, like I have, you may end up on a MAX or some other plane anyway. If airlines weren't able to swap out planes, there would be even more delays and cancellations than there already are. The good news is that many airlines will let you change to an alternative flight. And then Fast Company gives a disclaimer. Flying is very safe, and it's true. It's true. Bus and rail travel are much deadlier than plane travel, and passenger vehicle travel dwarfs them both. Although I would submit that Boeing is doing its damnedest to change those statistics. But for now, yes, that is true. Those other methods of travel are safer. Nonetheless, I am avoiding Boeing planes whenever possible. I would never get on a MAX. I'm not saying I would never get on a Boeing, although I don't think it's a coincidence that the poop plane was 7 years old. The newer Boeings, even when they're not MAXs, were made under this regime that a certain whistleblower met with an untimely end, shall we say, in a parking lot, talking about how in order to meet the production schedule, they were taking scrap parts out of the garbage and putting them on planes. So anything that's been made under that regime, I think is dicey, even if it's not a MAX. Anything, Keaton? Does this make you definitely affirmed in your determination never to leave Albany?
Well, I do read the numbers just as you cited there. And it's true, air travel is still generally very safe. So that's one thing to think about. But, an airplane is a lot like a vaccine. It's generally safe, but you still want it to be made the right way. Right? like, it's not the kind of thing. True. It's not the kind of thing where you want to read stories like this. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, it definitely does not put people's minds at ease. And as you can see there, the numbers are already starting to bear out that people are very sort of aware of this and they're seeking out alternative options. And this is before, as you've said in the past, and we hope to God, obviously, that this does not happen, but it seems likely at this rate that sooner or later, one of these things is going to go down and kill a couple hundred people. At that point, come on. At that point, these searches for alternative airplanes are going to go through the roof, to the point where it's really going to hurt them in the market, which means they're going to have to start another 2 or 3 wars to keep Boeing in business, because the government pretty soon is going to be the only person on their list of people who will actually buy these things.
And, it's funny because you always have these Congress people talking about encouraging our enemies. I mean, isn't Boeing encouraging our enemies? Because if I were looking to take on the United States right now, I'd say, don't worry. They contract Boeings for their military. What do we have to lose? They'll be crashing all over the battlefield. Right. It's psychological because, look, man, I mean, we're primates. Our brain does not like to be flying around in the air like that. So when you're sitting in a car, it's just psychological. I'm on the ground. When you're in a plane like I was Saturday, and you can feel the plane like a roller coaster going up and down, mentally, you're just not going to take it the same way.
Yes, and you don't have any control over it,
That's
which is
it.
Probably
it's the total lack of control. It's totally out of your hands. Nothing
exactly.
You can do.
And like statistically, you're probably better off not having that kind of control, but it still feels worse. It feels less certain.
So the moral of the story, kids, fuck Boeing. Avoid flying on a Boeing. That's my advice, even though flying is safer than driving. All right, Keaton, anything?
Nope. I think that was a beautiful segment. That was a perfect segment. People are saying they've never seen a segment like that before.
They've been saying, I can't believe it's like he never left.
Yeah.
Like he never left. It's like he wasn't even gone. All right, to you, Misha.
All right, we're going to go to
check your phone for a second.
Quick ad.
You know what my theory is that there's a huge crash coming. It's coming. And so I'm putting my money into precious metals, mostly gold. And so I have a substantial percentage of my retirement in gold. And my financial future is secure with gold and silver. That's why I decided to sponsor, and I partnered with Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a safe and secure self-directed IRA where I have access to my assets no matter what the stock market, or for that matter, whatever the government's doing. I have access to it, and plus I got it in gold coins. Okay, so let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. We put together a special offer. Listen to this offer. You click on the link in the description of this video or call the special 800 number, and you're going to receive a safe and up to $10,000 in free silver. I don't know how they could do that, but go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy Dore Show. colonialmetals.com/Jimmy-Dore-Show. Or you can call 888-910-1419. That's 888 888-910-1419. And a nice person like our friend Paul from Colonial, he'll tell you all about it. I had lunch with Paul. When he explained all this to me, I was like, hey, I'd like to work with you guys. And I'd like to put my retirement money in an IRA account with you guys with the precious metals. So go to 888-910-1419. That's Colonial Metals. Or you can go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Jimmy-Dore-show. Or click the link in the description.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit